This is Sports Daily on Wichita's #1 sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
All right, welcome in, everybody, to Sports Daily. It is a Thursday, always jam-packed here on the program on Thursdays. Glad to be with you here on the program. It is a fantastic day. Lots of big news, lots of great guests, all kinds of good stuff coming for you on this Thursday, all kinds of giveaways. I'm Jacob Albrock alongside Tommy Castor, Jad Chambers producing, and manning that IHOP hotline, which is available to you at 869-1240, and it's brought to you by IHOP, where guests can enjoy the new strawberry cheesecake waffle, a golden brown Belgian waffle topped with creamy cheesecake mousse and fresh strawberries. Sounds delightful.
I could go for one of those right now.
Yeah, it's that could really do something for us there. Get a little in on that. All right. So we've got giveaways, I mentioned. We got Dropkick Murphy tickets. Excited about that one. Dropkick Murphy's flashback for me. We've got Paw Patrol tickets. That movie is tomorrow. So we'll give away some tickets to that. We've got some Wichita Thunder home opener tickets to give away. We've got some HTO to give away. And I think that's it for the day. So we'll have all of that coming for you on the program. We've also got our pal Chelsea Messenger joining us here later in this hour to talk about some of her favorite bets of the weekend. College football, NFL. It's all on the table with Chelsea. And we'll have Tim Fitzgerald at the top of the next hour, our K-State insider, to sort of, take a look back here at the first portion of the season. I think if you're going to section things off, you section it off with the bye week. That's what we'll do. And we'll look ahead, get his thoughts on these latest ACC rumblings, as well as Fitz is, typically connected and paying attention to all of that stuff. So we'll have all of that for you here on the program today. Glad to be here. Tommy, how are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm glad to be here today. We're getting ready to start the new football weekend, Thursday night football tonight. But you know what? Even though the football weekend is just about here, I want to focus on baseball for a second. And you and I were texting about it last night. Ronald Acuna Jr. did something last night for the Braves. Never been done before in Major League Baseball. 40 home runs, 70 stolen bases. And I told you, I don't think this guy's getting nearly enough credit for what he's done this season in Major League Baseball. So I wanted to start the show with that today and just, give him the accolades that I feel like he's due.
So a little more clarity on what you said last night. Look, you thought that he's not getting enough credit. I think he's getting all the credit. Like, I think it's been the story of baseball for sure since Shohei Ohtani's been hurt. And even before that, we were paying attention to this because it's been on the table since the All-Star break and since before the All-Star break, this possibility. I think he's been getting the appropriate amount of love. I do think it's interesting that you as a Braves fan especially feel that way, because it's almost like, everybody would say that about players on their own team. I'm certain that Royals would say that about Bobby Witt Jr. right now, Royals fans. I would probably say that about what Corey Seager and Marcus Semien have done as a combo for the Rangers this year, which is historic in nature. There's a lot of different things. It speaks to the power of Shohei, right? Because Shohei, There's no question, right? And it does spread. But this has always been baseball's problem, right? Like, Ronald Acuna Jr., maybe outside of baseball, it's not getting the attention it deserves. I'll give you that. But within baseball, I think he has been the story of this year. He's been one of the great, bright young stars of the game for a long time. Yeah, it's awesome. And 40-70 just seems unattainable. I will tell you, I think it is probably more attainable with the rule changes because guys are stealing more bases.
Sure.
So probably it's going to be a little bit more on the table. And I'll tell you, like, for for us here locally, seeing Ronald Acuna Jr., how old is he now?
24, 23, 24.
I mean, he feels like he's been in the big leagues forever.
Yeah.
And
Well, he
Bobby
started
Witt
when he was, like,
Jr.
19.
is 23. I think he's a year behind him. I think that's right. So that, to me, when I watch Acuna play, it looks to me like the ceiling of Bobby Witt Jr. Now, I wouldn't have said that normally because of, the batting average piece of this. But Bobby Witt Jr. has hit for more average, I think, than I thought he would. I sort of saw his 275 this year as like a ceiling. I'm not sure that I think that anymore.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit more average in there. And if that happens, he's going to have the opportunity to steal more bases because he'll get on base more. I think the home run power of Acuna is absolutely on the table for Bobby Witt Jr. No question. It's, can he get on base enough to do that kind of, Bobby Witt Jr., that's the thing. You want to talk about no respect, and it's because the Royals stink and nothing else. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to have a 30, 50 year, Tommy. And I don't think anybody even realizes that that's happening. So at least Acuna plays for the team that's been out in front all the way. And he's been doing this now for 4 years, like from day one.
Right.
Like it's Mike Trout, like the way he's stepped in immediately. But here's the crazy part. And we talked about this the other day. Like, if you go in and look at WAR leaders in Major League Baseball, he's not even the top guy. Mookie Betts is a higher WAR. So like this 40-70 season, and Mookie, that's going to be an interesting MVP race. I don't think it'll be close. I think Acuna will take it. But Mookie Betts has a case to make. It's crazy because, there's nothing like headliney about what Betts has done, but he's ahead of him.
So, obviously I'm a Braves fan. I follow them, pretty religiously. And when the Braves won the World Series 2 years ago, Acuna, if you'll recall, was out. He was hurt. He tore his ACL, and he was done around the All-Star break or around the 4th of July was when he went down with that injury. And they went out and they got Eddie Rosario and Adam Duvall. Jorge Soler joined the team, Adam Duvall. Like all these outfielders, Jock Peterson came over to try to help them win a World Series, and they did. Well, Acuna was out, and I can tell, like watching him and watching this team, like they want to do this for Acuna because he wasn't there 2 years ago when they won the World Series. And so there's this motivation and the energy that the team has. Like they clinched the #1 seed in the NL last night with their win against the Cubs. And I know I'm biased because I've been a fan my entire life, but it's a special team. It's probably one of, if not the best offensive teams in history with the number of home runs they've hit. They surpassed 300 home runs in a season. They've got like 5 players that have hit over 30 home runs. So, they're doing a lot at the plate. The only vulnerability is on the pitching mound. And they've got some injuries there that they're dealing with. But man, it's been pretty incredible to watch what Acuna's done. And then, oh, by the way, you've also got Matt Olson, who leads the majors in home runs, and he's not getting the attention because of what Acuna's doing.
Yeah, it's cool to see it. I love it for baseball. I'm going to be really interested to see who you root for when the Braves and Rangers play in the World Series. And that I have those 2 big bets on the Rangers.
Well, so I posed a question.
Allegiances will be tested here.
Yeah, I posed a question this morning to some buddies of mine. Right now, knowing that the Braves are the #1 seed in the National League and knowing what they do offensively, would you take the Braves to win the World Series or would you take the field? And I think that that's a pretty fair question.
In baseball,
I know that there's,
I know
that there's a lot of, and that's a good point. I think the last time that the best team won the World Series was in like 2016. I think the Cubs did it, and they were the best team record-wise going into the playoffs. It doesn't happen very often, but just knowing how powerful the Braves lineup is, that's an interesting question.
It is. I'll always take the field in baseball because there's too many. So this is what's crazy about baseball. And we're almost there to the postseason. Baseball can be just simply won by the team that's the hottest at the moment, right? We know how streaky baseball is. Like, if the right team, and this is why, like, I hold on to this shred of optimism despite the 9-page injury list that the Rangers are dealing with, is because, and the Braves are this way too. Like, if that lineup gets hot for 3 weeks, it doesn't matter, right? They can just go in bunches. And so that can literally happen for any team that's in there. Like they just get hot. We see postseason stars born out of nothing all the time. in Major League Baseball. I love the baseball playoffs. That's why I've always loved the baseball playoffs, because it is so unpredictable. In the NBA, outside of Miami surprising us this past year, like you don't get Cinderellas in the NBA. We've run the data, right? That teams outside of the top 2 or 3 seeds don't win titles. NFL, more possible, but still not that possible, right? You might get a team that gets in there as a, like the Giants the year they beat the Patriots come to mind. But in baseball, man, all bets are off. Who knows what's going to happen in the baseball postseason?
Yeah, I know that really when you're talking about like teams that get hot at the right time. I mean, look at last year. Look at the Phillies, for example. Like they got hot at the right time. They were by far not the best team, but they got hot at the right time and they made a run. And so I get that. I just wonder if, like this season, because of what Atlanta's been able to do, and it hasn't been like them getting hot for periods of time. Like they've been hot the entire season, especially offensively, barring some kind of like postseason letdown. And I know, again, I'm biased, but it's going to be hard for me to bet against them.
Well, I mean, the Dodgers have come in with the most wins several times and not gotten it done. The Mariners with their historic season didn't get it done. It's all about, do you have the pitching all lined up for yourself, and is your lineup going? We'll see. The postseason, it's not all decided yet, but we're getting closer, and we'll certainly get more into that next week. We'll have the field set, and you guys will see me, go gray in the head on the air, because it looks like the Rangers are going to get in. And again, I got 2 big bets on the Rangers to win the World Series that will be very stressful.
Are they going to win the division, or are they going to get in as a wild card?
What do they have? 4 games left, and I think that they stay, because they won last night. They stay 2.5 ahead of Houston. Seattle's the team that's in real trouble here. The Rangers play Seattle, so it really, yes, they have like a overwhelmingly positive chance to get in and win the division, which is good. They are, because they'll be the second best record of the division winners, so that will matter some. But what are we? 162 games. We're at 158. So we're 4 games shy, and they got a 2.5 game lead over Houston. So I don't know what that magic number is. It's probably like, what would that be? 2? 2 would be the magic number, one way or the other. So we'll see. But it's looking good. There were some big headlines. We open with baseball. We'll take this first segment and sort of bounce around a little bit. Damian Lillard traded. Now, it's a big story, so we care about it, right? We might spend some time in it, but it's a little bigger for us here than, stories like this might be. It affects us twofold, right? First, Adrian Griffin waits forever for his chance and now is coaching the betting favorite, pretty heavy favorite, to win the NBA title with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo paired up in Milwaukee. So that's awesome. We love that. Friend of the program. The other is it means Grady Dick gets to stay in Toronto. And I'd been mulling that over for a long time, because remember, we told you this earlier in the week. Grady Dick was going, if Toronto made that deal, it was going to have to include Grady Dick. And so it was like, okay, he's going to go to a worse team, but he's going to go to a young team with good players and maybe have a bigger opportunity. So I don't know what the best thing is. I do know that it has been a nice fit in Toronto for Grady Dick. I do know that he has enjoyed that time there, and that, he and his people have been very happy with that organization. So for that part, like I'm good with it, and I'm happy for him. And he will have a little more time and a little less pressure to be the guy. I don't know that that's always a good thing, but it's a thing. And so, continuity matters, and I guess I'm happy for him. He would have been in okay shape either way, Tommy. Like going to Portland would have been cool too.
It didn't really make any sense to me that the Raptors would even be interested remotely in making that deal. Because I feel like they value him pretty heavily in Toronto. Like they want him there to be a part of their team. And, otherwise, why draft him with your first round draft pick if you're just going to ship him off in a Damian Lillard trade? And I get it. Damian Lillard is a star. Like I understand that. But man, like the opportunity to have somebody like Grady Dick to come in and be that young star to kind of anchor your team, I think that's really important for Toronto. So it never made a lot of sense for me that they were even considering that. As far as the trade to Milwaukee goes, man, with Adrian Griffin, he was, I believe that the Raptors missed out on an opportunity for Griffin to coach that team permanently, because I think he's going to be a great head coach. And the fact that now he's in Milwaukee and he's got Giannis and now he's got Damian Lillard. I mean, you couldn't have picked a better spot for a guy like Adrian Griffin to get his head coaching opportunity in the NBA. You mentioned the betting favorites, but you've got a couple of superstars now. And I think the question then becomes like, how do you coach both of them together? How do you allow both of them to do the things that they do well and have all this success in the world? So it is going to be a little bit of a challenge to kind of manage that. But if anybody can do it, I think a guy that can connect with players like Adrian Griffin can. I think he's the guy to make that happen.
For sure. And look, they know each other and like each other. Like, it's been well documented yesterday for, people that don't pay attention to that off the court stuff all the time. These guys are fond of each other. So that helps too. It's a lot of pressure on Adrian Griffin too, but you'd rather have that, right? Like, you'd rather have a team that's good enough than a team that's not good enough, if that makes any sense. And he has a team that we think will be good enough, and that's awesome because they were almost good enough last year. And it's like, is Damian Lillard an upgrade over Drew Holiday? Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is.
So the other one, Tommy, is Traveler Swelsey news yesterday. Look, it sounds like T-Swizz is going to be at the game in New York. NBC ought to, write a thank you card to Taylor Swift for this, but it sounds like she's going to be there. And then I saw another TMZ story that Taylor Swift had her arm around his shoulder at the after party. So you have Travis Kelce, and he said this yesterday on his podcast, I did this to myself. Yeah, you did. And I think he thought he knew he was getting in for here, but he's not having to deal with paparazzi. He's not having to deal with somebody within his inner circle leaking a photo to TMZ. He's not having to deal with the rumors of Taylor Swift driving around in a popcorn machine. This is a different level. The vultures are out now, Trav. Yep. I know you thought you knew what you were getting into, but I just wonder, is this what you thought it would be? Because it's going to, maybe they're in love, Tommy, and I hope that they are, but man, this is going to get old for him real fast.
I saw some paparazzi photos of him yesterday, getting into a car or getting out of a car, and the caption said, Travis Kelce spotted in Kansas City. And I'm like, okay. I mean, yeah, I'm shocked. He's in Kansas City. Okay, fair enough. Show me some pictures of Patrick Mahomes now because he's in Kansas City too.
Do the paparazzi even know Kansas City? Do they even know where to go? It's not a usual place, I think, that they would have to navigate. But
that whole caption, Travis Kelce spotted in Kansas City. Of course he's spotted in Kansas City.
You got to sit there and wake up and see that TMZ thing and be like, damn it, Larry. What did TMZ do? Why would you do that? Now your people are all, getting bribed by the paparazzi. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. 869-1240, the IHOP hotline. We'll come back. Joining us on that hotline when we return, our pal Chelsea Messenger. Let's talk some bets for the weekend next on Sports Daily.
Your phone call is welcome. 869-1240. This is Sports Daily on KFH.
On the line is the host of the Daily Tip and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, Chelsea Messenger. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all of the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Also, be sure to check out the Daily Tip podcast for more of Chelsea Messenger analysis. Just search BetMGM wherever you find your podcasts.
All right, and welcome back in here to Sports Daily. Joining us now on the IHOP hotline, our pal Chelsea Messenger. Chelsea, welcome. How are you? How was last week for you?
Yeah, I think it was good. If I'm remembering right, I'm betting on sports every single day, so it's hard to keep a record of it. But maybe I can give you a small break from talking about Taylor Swift.
Not likely. Not likely around here. I mean, they've been. They've been quite the news lately. And as somebody who has zero experience with like celebrity gossip, this has been a strange experience for me. And I'm sure for Travis Kelce now having his, face on TMZ and all these different things. All right, Chelsea, let's start a little, timing is everything. Thursday night football tonight. Well, this is a fun matchup. Lions, Packers, two ascending teams, divisional game, all kinds of good stuff, all kinds of critical injuries we've got to pay attention to. What are you thinking tonight for what hopefully will be the best Thursday night football we've had this year?
Yeah, we've seen some snooze fest so far, but the line is pretty tight in this one. The Lions are favorites at the Packers for the first time since the 1980s. It has been a long time since the Lions have been favored on the road here. Because if you remember, the Packers have always had these great quarterbacks. And I think that's the next question is, what do we make of Jordan Love? And I think for me, I think they're still too small of a sample size. The Packers so far really haven't played many good defenses. Probably not any. I guess the Saints maybe count, but still, it took a Herculean effort in the fourth quarter for the Packers to come back and win that game. My guy here says the Lions, even though the line is not reflecting that. We're seeing some money come in on the Packers as home dogs here, but it just feels like the Lions are the more dependable team here. They've got the better offense. They've got the more experienced quarterback, and also a defense that's been wreaking havoc on opposing quarterbacks. A ton of sacks against the Falcons last week, which I know the Falcons are way more one-dimensional, but the other thing to consider here is definitely the injury report with some big names for both squads, both sides, having some big names on the offensive line that will be out or questionable. So I think this affects the props market the most as well, because a couple guys you need to keep your eye on if certain injuries end up being the case. Amon-Ra St. Brown over his receiving prop of 72.5 if Jair Alexander is in fact out for this game. He is the top guy on the secondary for the Packers. Should be a soft matchup for a guy that has put up over 100 yards receiving in back-to-back games. And then another player I'm looking at in the props market, Luke Musgrave. He is the tight end for the Packers here. And this is simply matchup based because the Lions have given up the most receptions and yards to opposing tight ends. So low number there, Luke Musgrave, over 37.5 receiving yards for -115.
So I was actually going to ask you about Luke Musgrave and just the tight end matchup in tonight's game. Got a couple of rookie tight ends going up against each other, and Sam Laporta from Detroit. And then you mentioned Luke Musgrave for Green Bay. Laporta has been pretty good through the first couple of weeks of the season. Do you think that that's something that, even as a rookie tight end that can be trusted moving forward? Does it seem like there's a connection there with him and Jared Goff?
Well, clearly there is. He had 84 receiving yards last week, but you've got to remember that it's still a very small sample size. And we've seen this with a couple guys already. Puka Nacua and Nico Collins were big guys in the fantasy world, the fantasy football world, I should say. But eventually regression is going to come. They're not going to have 100 yards receiving every single week. So maybe that's the sabotage factor. And also there's starting to be game film out on these guys because I think you bust onto the scene, nobody's really too worried about you. But once the defense sees your tendencies, it is a little bit different. And the sabotage factor for Luke Musgrave on the Packers is if Christian Watson plays, because he didn't play last game. And anytime you have another receiver in the mix, that is taking away targets. So some things to consider when playing rookies.
One more on this game, Chelsea. I kind of like the over here, 45.5. And I know that's A little dangerous maybe for Thursday Night Football, but you mentioned Jair Alexander. Jared Goff's looked really good. Like I kind of like over 45.5. Is that a number you're, looking at all?
It makes me a little nervous because primetime unders have really been the trend. This season, they're 5-2, and over the last 4 years, hitting it over a 60% clip. But this isn't really the matchup that I would want to play it under at. The Lions defense has been really good so far, but they also gave 37 up to the Seahawks. A lot of this hinges on Jordan Love and what you expect from him, because in a small sample size, like take the fourth quarter of that Saints game, he looked really good, but he's still a rookie. But the other thing that gives me pause on betting an under here is the fact that this spread is so incredibly tight. If we do see a close game, which is the outlier from some of these games that we've seen so far, like think of all these games. They've been blowouts. That's why I think the under's been the play in those. But if we do get a close back and forth game, the over is probably the play. So I'm a little torn on this game, both the side and the total. So maybe we see one of the first overs that we've seen all season in primetime.
Let's take a look at some of the games on Sunday, Chelsea. So first off, the Dolphins and the Bills. The Dolphins, as we all know, put up 70 points on Sunday last week. The over-under in this game is 54. Now, there's obviously got to be some regression. They're not going to put up 70 points again, but man, it sure seems like that over is pretty appetizing.
54, though, that's really high. I thought you were going to talk about the spread. The fact that
they
the
scored
Dolphins
70 points last week.
2.5 points. I know, but it was against the Broncos. How many did the Broncos give up to the Commanders? It's not a good defense. The Bills are a different story. They are defensively pretty good, but you're right. Like, obviously, the Dolphins have cheat codes on their offense. Guys like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle didn't even play in that game against the Broncos. But I think this is the stinkiest line of the week. The fact that the Dolphins are getting 2.5 against the Bills, if this one gets to 3, I probably will have to fall in the trap and take the Dolphins here. But still, sometimes you see a line and it doesn't make sense. And this is one of them. And that's why it's not a bet that I think I will be putting my money on. Vegas knows something.
So, so that's one of the best games of the week. And we're talking overs and unders. I'm going to look at the biggest turd of the week with the Broncos and the Bears. And, based on that, 46 there, I just keep thinking it didn't happen against the Chiefs necessarily, but at some point, Chicago's got to say, all right, Fields, just run around with the ball. That's the game to me with the way those defenses have played that seems like it could be the over to play.
Yeah, I think they're probably due for some positive regression, because if there's any spot for Justin Fields to get right, it's against a defense that just gave up 70 points. And if there's any spot for Russell Wilson to maybe look a little better, which it's not his fault that they gave up 70 points, it's against this Bears team that all around is just very, very bad. So I think I would lean towards the Broncos, land 3.5. I think this is a nice spot for them to get their first win of the season. The Bears just have too many problems. And Justin Fields, I thought maybe he could scramble for some yards against the Chiefs. It didn't seem to matter. This is a much easier matchup, but still, I'd lean towards the Broncos getting their first win of the season. And I think the over would be the play if I had to choose.
I want to ask you about your Tennessee Titans, Chelsea. They're at home this weekend against Cincinnati. They're getting 2.5 points at home against a Bengals team that, they won last week, but they're still clearly not dominant like they were last year. So I know the Titans have had trouble offensively. Do you like the fact that they're getting 2.5 points at home, or is this something that you should probably lean on the Bengals?
Oh, absolutely not taking the Titans in this one. There are certain historical events that you've got to look at here that may play a factor. The game that the Titans played the Bengals when they were the number 1 seed in the AFC, and they lost, and Ryan Tannehill threw 3 interceptions. After that game, Ryan Tannehill had to go to therapy. He talked about this. It broke him so bad mentally that he literally had to get help. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that there may be some demons for him going against this Bengals defense that's been really good. They sacked Matt Stafford 5 times. The offensive line for the Titans has been a disaster. They signed Andre Dillard, who they were paying, I think, $21 million a year. He has been so bad that he needs help from the tight ends blocking. So the problem is the offensive line for the Titans. Their offense is a nightmare. I will not be taking the Titans, even at home. It does feel like a short number, but I will ride with the Bengals here.
All right. What are some of your other favorite bets in general? They could be props. They could be anything this weekend, college, NFL. What are some things we need to circle on our sheets here?
Yeah, this number isn't out yet, but it refers to my Titans. Opposing quarterbacks are 3-0 to the over on their passing yardage prop when going against this Titans secondary. This is a trend that we saw all of last season where the Titans gave up the most passing yards of any team in the NFL. It's because their run defense is so good. And also they're very bad in the middle of the field when it comes to that secondary. So I'm not sure the health of Joe Burrow, but still, this is the way that you beat the Titans is you do it in the air. I feel like Joe Burrow should be getting healthier. I hope. So I think that's a good play. And also, this one is tumbled when it comes to the total. And it was one I liked quite a bit. But now we're down to 40.5. The under between the Ravens and the Browns. This one opened at 43.5. But think of an AFC North matchup. Don't you think physical, hard-nosed, defensive battle between two teams that are very familiar with each other? Feel like it's still the play. You're kind of missing out on some value there. But in 5 of the last 7 matchups between the Ravens and the Browns, the under has been the play. And we've seen some low totals. Both of these defenses have some for real playmakers. Big injuries on the Ravens offensive line, especially Ronnie Stanley if he's out for this one. And we know Myles Garrett is a matchup nightmare. I'm still not sold on Deshaun Watson being a good quarterback. So I think the under's the play in the Ravens and the Browns game as well.
Chelsea, Sunday Night Football, the Chiefs and the Jets. Thank goodness for NBC that Taylor Swift is maybe going to be there because with the way the Jets have played, it's not good. It's not a great primetime matchup. The Chiefs are 9.5-point road favorites. That's a lot of points, but also if Zach Wilson is starting at quarterback, I mean, the Jets can't do anything. So thoughts on this game in primetime?
This looks like a primetime under to me. If you think it's going to be a blowout, usually those two things correlate if it is a blowout and you have one good defense on at least one side of the ball. Because that's the thing that the Jets do have going for them is they do have an elite defense. The problem is just their quarterback, whoever they will be playing. So under 41 looks pretty appetizing. And also, I am wondering when they will release the odds for a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown. Good God, it makes me nauseous that people will say, oh, because Taylor Swift. No, Travis Kelce anytime touchdown has always been a great play. It's just now I feel like it's going to be pretty heavily juiced because so many people will probably be betting on it for that reason. But it's because he's a matchup nightmare in the end zone. It's not because of Taylor Swift.
Chelsea, I'm curious if you're having over to college football as hard a time with this line as we are. It's for the Kansas Jayhawks who play one of the bigger games of the weekend. 17-point dogs in Austin to Texas, who looks great. Kansas has looked good, though. Are there any trends or anything you're seeing there? Because right now we're very, very confused on that game and how to play it.
I would lean towards taking the points because there are a lot of narrative type plays in college football that you look for. You look for fall flat spots where a team just came off a really emotional game, and you look for look ahead spots where a team may be thinking about their next weekend matchup. Guess who Texas plays next week? They play Oklahoma. Big rivals, a big matchup between two teams in the top 15. So it feels like one of those spots. It feels like Kansas can at least keep it within the spread here, even though I will say Texas defense is pretty elite. But if you look back at a game kind of similar to this, I think Kansas is much better. They're a top 25 team. The Wyoming game. Wyoming covered in that game. I believe that spread was over 21. So it feels like another spot for that. I'll take the points at Kansas.
All right, Chelsea, before we let you go, any other bets between now and the next time we talk that you're on that we need to get into our bet slips?
Yeah, I'm going to be taking Penn State minus 27.5, I believe is the number against Northwestern. That's one of the other good angles in college football is fading really bad teams. Listen, if Iowa couldn't score a single point against this Penn State defense, I ain't think it's happening for Northwestern. So I'll lay the big number, whatever it is, for Penn State against Northwestern.
All right, Chelsea, we appreciate it. Always great stuff. If you missed anything with Chelsea, you can go back and listen for free on the Odyssey app. Let's do it again next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You can also catch Chelsea. Of course, she's the host of the Daily Tip and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider for us. Those calls presented by BetMGM. You can go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Really good stuff there, Tommy. I'm very excited about this Thursday night football game. And like the last handful of primetime games, I keep getting pulled away from the beginning. And so I get home and I've got to do all these things and I catch the end. I really want to watch this one. I'm excited about this one.
You know, I mentioned the rookie tight ends. It's going to be fun to watch both of those guys. I mean, Sam Laporta looks like the real deal.
He
Luke
does.
Musgrave, I mean,
I'm a big Musgrave guy.
Against the defense that Detroit has against tight ends, he might have a big night. That's going to be fun to watch.
I think I might have Luke Musgrave more than any other player in fantasy football. Like Musgrave and Brandon Ayuk are probably my two most owned. And unfortunately, Nick Chubb was on that list too. But yeah, I'm there. All right, let's give something away, Jad. That IHOP hotline is open. We'll start you today with movie tickets for tomorrow, opening night of the animated feature Paw Patrol, the mighty movie, Friday, September 29th, Boulevard Theater in Town West. Hey, guys, like, bet too much? Wife mad at you? Take your kids to see Paw Patrol. That'll get you out of the doghouse. 869-1240. Second caller during the break here on that IHOP hotline. Jad will get us a winner. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1 on Sports Daily.
$97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, the official partner of KFH. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including over-unders, player props, spreads, and more. The promo code is my name, Ted. So visit FanDuel.com/Ted and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued if non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
It's game time in Hornet Nation. The Emporia State Hornets are back in action and better than ever. We're building the noise, building the nest, building champions, and we want you to be a part of the excitement. Come cheer on our nationally ranked football and soccer teams, a new era of Hornet volleyball, and more. Get your season tickets live at the Hive VIP experience passes and all sport passes today at esuhornets.com.
I'm attorney Ben Winters with Patterson Legal. Summer is here and so is motorcycles. Did you know that motorcycle crashes account for 14% of all traffic fatalities? Even the most cautious riders can be involved in accidents. So keep your eyes open and give motorcycles extra space on the road. If you've been injured on a motorcycle, call Patterson Legal Group today. Patterson Legal is the way to go.
Save the date. Friday, September 29th from 5 until 8 o'clock. It's the 12th annual Rally at the Region Car Show. Dash plaques for the first 100 registered cars. Trophies will be awarded. There'll be free hamburgers and hot dogs for everyone and live music from Wichita's own The House Band. The 12th annual Rally at the Region Car Show near 21st and Webb at 2050 North Webb Road. Friday, September 29th from 5 to 8 p.m. Join us for the fun and check out all the great cars. The Rally at the Region Car Show. We'll see you there.
Nick Butkus here. I've got a game changer for you. When it comes to creating a winning website, there's only one team I trust, AmericanEagle.com. I've known them for 25 years. In my career, I learned that success isn't just about talent, it's about teamwork. That's what you'll find at AmericanEagle.com. They'll listen to your goals and work with you and handle all your digital properties. They'll ensure your website is user-friendly, responsive, and optimized for search engines. AmericanEagle.com also provides ongoing support and digital marketing strategies that will keep you ahead of the competition. They even host a podcast. Whether you're a medium to large business or a big-time player, AmericanEagle.com is the top choice. visit www.americaneagle.com. For website design, development, and online solutions that deliver efficiency and results, go to americaneagle.com or call them at 877-WEB-NOW-1.
Introducing IHOP's new menu with delicious items like perfectly crispy yet fluffy waffles in 5 different flavors. Warm, flaky buttermilk biscuits to fit any craving. Juicy, satisfying steak burgers for any time of the day. A whole line of delicious decadent eggs Benedicts, and so much more. You may just have to take a break from your regular and find a brand new favorite. But don't worry, we won't tell the pancakes. Only at IHOP. Let's put a smile on your plate. Download the app and earn free food with every order.
MVP's bonus days are back at Lowe's. Shop the largest selection of Klein tools and get 5 times the bonus points. Plus, right now, buy a DeWalt Power Stack battery kit and get a select DeWalt Bear tool free, up to a $249 value. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts if any. Valid 9/18 through 9/29. Subject to change. DeWalt offer valid through 10/11.
Yo, you're over here. Verizon just hooked me up with a new iPhone 15 Pro with Type A. How can you get one? By switching to my plan at the Verizon store, get the amazing new iPhone 15 Pro. When you trade in any iPhone, any model, any condition, guaranteed. Listen to my new song, Get This, on your way to get the new iPhone 15 Pro.
Don't miss out. Switch to my plan from Verizon today. It's your Verizon. $999 120 GB device with the purchase of mobile change and reduce monthly money. Unlimited minute night recall. Less than $1,000 rate for promo credit. Item 36 months. Promo credit is eligible and new requirements available. Service city go.
Oh, okay, take it easy. We're flying in the air. This is Sports Daily on KFH.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Sports Daily here on KFH. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor alongside you. We will give more prizes away on the IHOP hotline. Jeremy is our winner of the Paw Patrol tickets. Congratulations, Jeremy. We'll have Dropkick Murphy tickets, Wichita Thunder hockey tickets, and some HTO still to go here on the program. Good stuff from Chelsea there, Tommy. Let's look ahead to Monday Night Football real quick. I think that both of these teams are trying to make a statement. Look, don't you think that if you're the Packers or if you're the Lions and you've seen Minnesota stumble out of the gates, and I still think Minnesota's probably in this thing, more so than the general population, but both of these teams feel right now like they could win the division. And it's a short week. They're both very banged up right now, but this is a pretty big one. And I'm happy for Lions fans here, but I'm kind of happy for Packers fans too. All the drama. Jordan Love looks really good to me anyway. Like he looks like the stuff we didn't know. I mean, he's talented. We knew that. But man, they have done a great job putting young, versatile weapons with him. And the intangible stuff, like coming back to beat the Saints last week. Saints have a good defense, and they came back and won that game.
I'm not sold yet fully on the Packers. I think that they are a fine team, but I'm not sure that they are yet a team that I'm ready to put up there as, a playoff contender, potentially winning the division kind of team. They came back and beat the Saints, yes, and that's great. But keep in mind, Derek Carr got knocked out of that game. And so the Saints scored 17 points and then didn't score again after Derek Carr left the game. So, you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt. They had a big lead against the Falcons, and then the Falcons came back and beat the Packers a couple of weeks ago. So, I think that the Packers are on the rise, but I'm not sure they're quite there yet. So I'm not ready yet to say that I think that they might win the division. And then the Lions, I've been very clear on my feelings about Detroit. I think that they're a good team, but I think that they've been way overhyped. But in this particular matchup, I do think that they've got the advantage. Jared Goff has, been around for a long time, and we know what he can do. He's got some weapons now in Amon-Ra St. Brown and Josh Reynolds. And then, of course, Sam Laporta. It looks like that connection is for real. And then, of course, you throw in Jahmyr Gibbs and all of that. I do like Detroit in this matchup. I think that as of right now, with the way that Minnesota has underperformed, of course, the Bears are a disaster. Even though I don't think the Lions are this dominant force, I do think that they are, at least right now, on pace to win that division.
Yeah, you've said that about the Lions, that you don't believe in it, but somebody's going to win the division.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that they're.
I think I'm the opposite.
But right now I do think that they're the best to win that division.
I think I'm the opposite. So you're not sold on these. I think that I'm on the flip side of it. I think the Lions, the Packers, and again, don't throw eggs at me. I still think the Vikings are a good enough team to go to the playoffs. So, like, and I say that because, like, if the Lions and Vikings played right now, Tommy, I mean, you think the Lions are some overwhelming favorite in that game? No, the Vikings are going to get both of those teams twice still. So as people are ready to like bail and panic on Minnesota, who just continues to make mistake
bailing
after
on
mistake
Minnesota,
after mistake.
but they are 0-3. They're 0-3.
I know.
Like, it's difficult for 0-3 teams to make the playoffs. I don't think they're out of it by any means, but I mean, they've got to start turning it around right now.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. But there is a lot of talent on that offense. And I just like, they should trade Kirk Cousins. No, they shouldn't. They should hang tight and see if they can't stop, fumbling it in the red zone is what they should probably do. I've watched a lot of Vikings games for whatever reason, usually because they're an interesting fantasy team or I have a bet on them. Their game against the Chargers not hitting that. I meant to bring that up with Chelsea. That was as painful of a no over. It cost me a lot of money. But just to watch it, and look, we in this house, we root for the Chargers, when they're not playing the Chiefs or the Cowboys, because my wife is a Chargers fan. She roots for them no matter who they're playing. So I've watched them too. So that game is just painful. Like both teams, it was like who makes the last mistake, right? And it was just mistake after mistake, fumbles in the red zone, going for it on fourth down inside your own territory. They were doing everything they could to not hit that over. But the Vikings are not as bad talent-wise as they've played, I guess, or the mistakes that they've made. And mistakes kill you in the NFL. We all know that.
They've got to shore up. The Vikings have to shore up their running game. I know they brought in Cam Akers. Alexander Mattison has been terrible. And I thought
don't think their line is good enough for them to have a good run game.
I thought that he would be able to come in and replace Dalvin Cook and be at least fairly effective. He's been none of that. I don't know if Cam Akers can do any better, but like that's
their
the
line's
big
not good
difference from
enough.
a year ago. I mean, their receivers are better. They added Jordan Addison. They still have Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, Hawkinson, all of that. But man, like they're one-dimensional, and so everybody knows that you can go after Kirk Cousins. You can double those receivers because they don't have anybody to run the ball in an effective way.
Yeah, and their defense isn't good either. I mean, they pretty much are going to have to shoot out their way on through.
Yeah.
What is there, by the way, speaking of bets, who do they play this week and what's their over? Panthers over 46. Yeah, I don't know. Vikings defense is bad, but that's a tough one. All right, 869-1240. We'll come back. Our buddy Tim Fitzgerald joins us on the other side, our K-State insider. We'll take a look at what we think of the Cats so far through the first official portion of their season next on Sports Daily.
NFL Love Mornings with Bob and Tom on 97.5 and 1240 KFH, Wichita's most listened to sports radio. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Listen up, Wichita. Dropkick Murphys with the Interrupters and Jesse Ahern coming live to the Wave. Don't miss it. Wednesday, October 4th. Tickets are on sale now at WaveICT.com. Grab yours today. Performing live, Dropkick Murphys with the Interrupters and Jesse Ahern. Wednesday, October 4th. Tickets are on sale now at WaveICT.com. Grab yours today. You don't want to miss it. That's October 4th at the Wave. Tickets at WaveICT.com. Be there.
Iron Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. NFC North action ahead this week from Green Bay with Jordan Love and the Packers coming off a 3-score fourth-quarter comeback win. Now they host Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions, who also moved to 2-1 with a victory on Sunday. Join me and newly inducted Hall of Famer Joe Thomas on Thursday Night Football.
Get ready for the game with more details and preview at WestwoodOneSports.com.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win, FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
There's never been a better time for football fans to join the huddle for all the hard-hitting action with BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app and use bonus code Wichita when you place a $10 pregame moneyline wager on any pro football game. You'll receive $200 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of your wager's outcome. Sign up now and discover BetMGM's daily promotions, player props, live betting options, and more. Download the app or go to BetMGM.com and sign up today to get started. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly and offer resources to help you make appropriate choices. BetMGM.com for T's and C's. 21 plus to wager. Kansas only. New customer offer if applicable. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
If you crave an extra special great tasting margarita, stop by Spangles for our extra special mango margarita. Bold tequila with the sweet and wild flavor of mango brings you a great tasting margarita with the perfect combination for a fruity and tropical drink. Hurry in to try the new Spangles Mango Margarita, only here for a limited time. Spangles, where cocktails just taste better. Spangles reminds you to please drink responsibly.
Spangles, it just tastes better.
It's that time again. Fall. Leaves changing colors, sweaters, and the Spangles Caramel Pumpkin Pie Slide.
We start with a whole slice of real pumpkin pie. Layer it with our creamy vanilla soft serve and top it off with Ghirardelli sea salt caramel.
So come in and try the Caramel Pumpkin Pie Slide and make it your new out-of-the-ordinary pumpkin treat. Because just like fall, it's only here for a limited time.
Spangles Caramel Pumpkin Pie Slide. It just tastes better.
Pizza John's, open since 1969. Dine in Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 208 South Baltimore in Derby. Give them a call at 788-2011 or go online at pizzajohnsderby.com. Pizza John's, purveyors of round meals and flat snacks.
The KFH Studios, powered by Devon James Injury Lawyers. Call 888-8888. That's 888-8888.
JUCO volleyball last night. Third-ranked Cowley College winning at home with a sweep over 18th-ranked Neosho County, 3-0. The Cowley volleyball team ranked number 3 in the nation, still undefeated at 18-0. Thursday night football tonight in the National Football League. The Detroit Lions visiting the Tundra of Green Bay, taking on the Packers. Lions and the Packers, both teams tied for first place in their division. FanDuel thinks it will be close, having the Lions as a 1.5-point favorite on the road. Lions-Packers, 7 o'clock tonight. Listen to that game live right here on KFH. Major League Baseball last night. The playoff-bound Baltimore Orioles win 5-1 at home over the Washington Nationals. Coming out of the bullpen for the Orioles, former Wichita Wind Surge pitcher Danny Cullum with 1 1/3 scoreless innings of work, 4 up, 4 down. The Orioles have won 4 in a row, their 99th win of the season. I'm Ted, the Sports Head.
Jacob Albrocht, Tommy Castor. This is Sports Daily on Wichita's #1 sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
He's got all the insight on what you want to know and maybe some of what you don't want to know. Here's K-State insider Tim Fitzgerald.
And welcome back to Sports Daily here on KFH. Sandstorm means our buddy Tim Fitzgerald will be in. Fitz, I just got to, do you think Taylor Swift is using Travis Kelce, or do you think this is real love?
Man, we're just coming out getting on the hot topics here. I think this is real, but also both of them are constantly marketing themselves, so there might be just an undertone of, hey, this is good, this is good for my career too. That they might not even realize they're doing, but they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. She better not break his heart. That's what I keep saying. Just, take Take it slow and easy. No TMZ gossip that we know of anyway happening at Kansas State. So the bounce back from Missouri looks good. The UCF win looks good. I'll ask this then. Number one concern for Tim Fitzgerald into the bye week now that you'd like to see worked on and corrected big picture, what'll be the most meaningful thing that they could fix to be the best versions of themselves?
I think they have to figure out the explosive play issue they're having, giving up some big plays. And some of it's just been great athletes. I mean, they've run into some great athletes the last 2 weeks, but, some of it's been just complete breakdowns on defense. And we've got to get that figured out. I'd also like to see the receivers step up to a higher level of play. Maybe it simply involves a couple guys getting more healthy, but I asked Chris Klein at point blank, are you even close to running at capacity yet? Not even close. I mean, this team can be so much better than what it is right now. And it felt kind of like a Bill Snyder response, to be honest, but I also agree with him. I think this team's got its best football ahead of itself.
DJ Giddens had an incredible game against UCF last week. And, we had talked about that a week ago, considering that Treshaun Ward was hobbled and banged up and all of that. In your mind, was there any thought from DJ Giddens as far as, hey, like, this is my game. Treshaun Ward is out. I'm going to be able to step up. I don't have to worry about a timeshare. I'm going to get the bulk of the carries. It's going to be my game. Or was that just kind of the circumstances the way the game played out?
I think a little of both. I mean, I think he rose to the occasion. There's no doubt about it. But also, I think if you had to lose one of the two running backs and their style of running against UCF, Treshaun Ward was the right one, because DJ Giddens' ability to break tackles and kind of to get into that open space, he doesn't have the breakaway speed, but I'm not sure Treshaun Ward with that speed on the UCF defense was going to do much breaking away anyhow. He just really sifted through that defense, broke a couple tackles. I'd love to see what his yards after contact was, because he quite often, defeated the tackler near the line of scrimmage and then broke free. So, I'm really happy for DJ. He's a great young man, the quietest guy. I think I've covered since Darren Sproles, but that was a pretty good running back too. So we'll see. Keep in mind, he's only a sophomore, guys. I mean, his upside is just enormous, and particularly if he continues to be a patient running back like he was in this game. I mean, his level of vision was off the charts in this contest.
So, Fitz, let's look at the Big 12 here as, K-State fans have a chance to sort of sit back and digest things. I would say right now, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, if you see it any differently. I mean, it looks to me like there are 4 teams with a shot to win this thing. Kansas is going to get a chance to, prove that this weekend, but it looks like Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, and Kansas State are perhaps a rung ahead. TCU has bounced back nicely. Nobody buys into West Virginia or Iowa State's wins. It looks like Texas Tech just isn't what we thought there were. Is there anybody besides those 4 you see in the mix right now?
Yeah, I think TCU is the mystery. I mean, I get the sense they're not very good.
They haven't played anybody.
But, and I'll just see how that plays out. But let's be honest here. You can go weeks in this league without playing anybody. This league's got some really down programs. It's amazing to watch some programs that have been pretty good all of a sudden just hit a wall. Like, something has gone horribly wrong in Stillwater, in Ames. Cincinnati looks down. Houston is just not a very good football team. So there's some victories out there to be had for everyone. And K-State has 3 of those teams I just listed. And they also have Baylor, which is questionable, and TCU, as we talked about. When I look at the schedule right now, and I know there's a lot of football to be played, so teams can reinvent themselves or find themselves as we go. That game with Texas, which is 4 games away, looms huge. And then Kansas a couple weeks later. Those look at like the 2 biggest tests K-State has left on its it's scheduled. Well, I suddenly can't speak, guys. I think I just had a mini stroke.
One thing, Fitz, that at least the Wildcats can move forward, pretty confidently in is the fact that Chris Kleiman is not going anywhere. And I don't think that was really ever much of a question, although he was asked about Michigan State yesterday, where, he reaffirmed saying he's going to stay in Manhattan. He's not going anywhere, not interested in that job. Do you think that is this just kind of the nature of the beast for both Kansas State and really even Kansas to have their coaches be linked to openings like this? Or now that, Kleiman is, pretty entrenched in the community and in the university, and he's been so just, firm on, I'm not going anywhere. Do you think that he's going to eventually stop getting asked that question?
Yeah, it happens. Eventually they will stop asking. And in fact, the local media did stop asking. We didn't ask him because we knew the answer. The rumor was he flew to East Lansing after the game in Columbia, and that just simply didn't happen. I mean, everyone said, no, he was on the plane with us, and he was here in the building all week. So we knew it was false. Everyone realized it was false. They didn't ask him, but the guys, my friends on Big 12 Today on Sirius XM did ask it and seemed to provide the answer that more people around the country wanted to hear. Yeah, and I keep hearing Lance Leipold maybe linked to that. Look, these two coaches aren't going to leave their current situations for that dumpster fire. That has become a total mess up in East Lansing, and it's not just what's going on with football now. They got a lot of things going on at that institution that I don't think anyone really wants to be a part of unless you need a career break or need to reinvent yourself. That might be a place where you end up, but they're not going to get any headline-breaking hires with the situation that's going on right now.
Yeah, but they're not going to lose a PR battle at this point. Nowhere to go but down. Just go hire Urban Meyer, and they'll win games.
I'm with you. I think it's real. Yeah.
Chris Kleiman is, we think, secure in Manhattan. I'm with you on that. Now maybe Jerome Tang is too. It was going to start up again the second, if K-State's good in basketball again this year, even maybe more than last year, his name was going to start to be rumored. Do you think the extension that he signed this week, now through 2030, it's not an overwhelming amount of money, $3 million a year, but is it enough, do you think, to assuage any interest Tang could potentially have? We don't even know if he'd have it, but if he did, is this enough to basically lock that down and create a similar situation that they have with Chris Kleiman?
I think in terms of Jerome Tang, I think he's pretty locked in. I mean, I think he likes what he's got going here. He loves where he's at. And I don't think he has any intention in leaving, but I don't think that'll stop the rumors because so many in the media don't realize what Jerome Tang does, and that this program does have a pretty rich history. And I mean, Jerome Tang's very aware of the coaches that came before him and what they've meant to college basketball. Even recent coaches, like Lon Kruger and Frank Martin and Bob Huggins, certainly. So I think it's just a level of, I'll say disrespect for the Kansas State basketball program that a lot of national media will link him to jobs. But I think he realizes this can be the job because it has been in the historical past. And we'll see if it plays out that way. But I don't think he has any intention of going anywhere. I really don't. Maybe if Baylor would come open, but Scott Drew's not that old because he took that Baylor job when he was, I think, 12. I think he was maybe 13. So he's going to be there a while longer. But, yeah, I think he's settled in pretty well. From everything Jerome tells me, he just loves it here. He just loves it in Manhattan, Kansas, loves the student body, loves the community, and loves the history of K-State basketball.
I know I've asked you this before in the context of Jerome Tang. I'm going to ask you again now that Tang has signed this contract, knowing what Gene Taylor has done as far as hiring guys like Chris Kleiman and Jerome Tang, we know how important character is to Gene Taylor and to the university as far as their coaches for the big time programs. Knowing all of that, and then also seeing the way that there are other universities that are, looking at different people to hire and they're looking at, different things like their character and the culture that they can build for their programs. How confident are you? And it's got to be at a pretty high level, I would assume, that the culture that's being built in Manhattan is a positive one?
Well, it's guys, I've been doing this, basically my whole entire adult life. I've never seen a pairing of coaches kind of like work in sync like these two guys. Jerome Tang's the extrovert that is constantly out there, well, literally beating the drum, and Chris Kleiman is a little bit, calmer in his style and approach, but they're both, as you mentioned, Tommy, high quality individuals, and I just think their character as men is extremely high. Jerome Tang just exudes goodness, and Chris Kleiman just knows how to build a locker room and build a team and trust others to help him do it. It's remarkable to be around these two and watch what they're doing. I think K-State Athletics is set up for the Big 16, New 12, whatever it's going to be. I think they're in a great position to have dominating sports for many years to come.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's looking good. Tim Fitzgerald, publisher, GoPowerCat.com, at Life of Fitz on Twitter. Tim, you're always locked into conference realignment, which we appreciate. Some interesting stuff coming out yesterday out of South Carolina, reporting that Clemson maybe found an out. What have you seen on this ACC stuff? And, could this all happen maybe a little quicker than we thought?
Well, see, that's the bottom line, is people keep saying it's ironclad, it's locked in. Well, they said the same thing about the Big 12 grant of rights, and now we've found out that the Big 12's attorneys thought maybe it wasn't so locked in, and OU and Texas had an easier out than what was thought to be. Look, nothing is going to hold up forever, and eventually these schools keep sifting through the bylaws and seeking a way to get out. They'll eventually come to the conclusion that something's worth the price to get out. When you have your top schools this unhappy, I don't think there's any way to undo that, except if you somehow have ESPN gives in and says, okay, we'll give you a brand new contract. And they're not going to do that, because secretly ESPN wouldn't mind if they could move a lot of the top programs into the Big 12 and SEC where they have contracts. Of course, they wouldn't want to be losing these schools to the Big 10, which is, someone else. But look, I'm intrigued by this, and I think there's some real schools that can really help this conference as it moves forward if the ACC does come apart.
Fitz, on a different note, what do you make? We talked about this earlier this week. What do you make of the recent trend in the last couple of weeks of college football coaches calling out octogenarians, whether it's Ryan Day calling out Lou Holtz or Jake Dickert calling out Lee Corso? I mean, we've got like some big time. They're almost like professional wrestling promos now, whether it's in press conferences or post game or whatever. I know that it adds a lot of intrigue, but really, is this more than just bulletin board material? Are we looking at a situation now where, coaches are looking to, get on a microphone and just call out anybody who they feel like disrespects their program?
Is this the Deion effect? It
might be.
Deion can say that kind of stuff. I'm going to do it too. And I think the key here isn't that they're calling people out. It's who they're calling out. And, they're senior citizens. And in the case of Coach Corso, ESPN still gives him a platform, so maybe he's more tangible. But yeah, just take the high road, fellas. Just say, hey, I respect Coach Corso a lot, but boy, I disagree with him here. Yeah, that's all you need.
Holtz is firing back.
Yeah, well, Luke, don't get around him when he gets upset. You might need a shower afterwards. Look, I love Coach Holtz, but he's always been outlandish. He's always said silly stuff. If you look back over how important it was when he was on the air with Mark May and the kind of impact they had on college football, and yet now over the course of time, we realize how bad that show was and how bad many of their takes were. It's just interesting to see where we are as a college football world now that we moved on. And I just keep in mind, those guys were so important when these younger coaches were growing up. and so they still mean a lot to these guys, just as they do to me. So, and these guys are a lot younger than me, but yeah, it's kind of gotten ugly, and I wish coaches would, learn when not to say something. You don't have to address everything. It's probably a lesson I need to learn on social media.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can entertain us, but yeah, I don't know. As long as you stay in good mental health with it, that's okay. Fitz is a world famous instigator on social media. If you want a good follow, at Life of Fitz. Real quick, Fitz, before we let you go, Coach Prime. They got their butts kicked in Oregon. We all knew that was a possibility. They could get their butts kicked again this weekend. We all know that's a possibility. They've been missing their, arguably their best player. Like, does the shine of this wear off? And it really was a perfect storm early. Do you think the shine wears off by the end of this year? And do you think that the momentum will carry into their entrance to the Big 12 next year?
I don't think the shine wears off because the way Coach Prime's handling adversity. And now we're seeing, he's got a 5-star recruit, I think cornerback, that he says he's just not getting it done in practice. He's got to do better. So you see the coaching moments come out. It's not all show. There's a lot of show here, but it's also kind of what Colorado needed to get itself up off the mat. We all knew that as they played more football, there'd be more film and their flaws would become obvious. And that's happened at the same time they're playing really good football teams, unless you're getting blowouts. I think they'll get smoked again this weekend with USC, but they're going to win more games. I won't be surprised if they're bowl eligible, although it's not a good year to try to be rebuilding in the Pac-12 because, ironically, in its last season, that might be the best overall conference in the nation. There's a lot of good football teams out there this year. So, and I do think it'll carry over. I don't think it's all smoke and mirrors, guys. I think there's something tangible about what he's doing, and yet it's so unconventional, it's hard for us to quite grasp it. He's really letting his coaches coach, and he's leading. And it's an interesting way to kind of be the GM more than anything and a spokesperson. and he's brought in really good coaches. They just don't have enough talent yet. They brought in a lot of guys in transfer portal. Transfer portal's hit and miss. And now that lack of talent's getting exposed, but they'll get back into the portal next year and their needs will be far less and they'll get better again. So it's going to be a fun process to watch. And I think the Big 12 will benefit from this.
Yep, I agree, Fitz. All right. What do you guys have going at GoPowerCat.com this week for everybody during the bye week?
It's kind of glorious. I'm laying here in bed talking to you. I love bye weeks. We got a lot of stuff going on still. All of our podcasts are still rolling. The daily deliveries are still rolling. We've got some fun content over the next few days, kind of mid-season stuff. So we've got plenty of content at GoPowerCat. Just no game content because there's no game. But they jump right back into it Friday night, next Friday at Stillwater. And hopefully they don't, the whole program doesn't catch fire while K-State's there, because that is a dumpster fire in Stillwater.
All right, Fitz. We appreciate it. Check out Fitz's work, GoPowerCat.com. Follow on social media at Life of Fitz. Enjoy the bye week. It'll be game time this time next week.
I'm going to sit around on my butt and watch football all day Saturday. That plays to my skill set right there.
And you'll be following along with all the Traveler Swelsey gossip. Don't lie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm all in on this. She asked me if I wanted to date, and I'm like, I'm married. I know you want to shine off my career, but have you ever thought about Travis Kelce? He's more age appropriate, and that's how it all happened. You start that rumor.
Very kind of you. Always looking out for the people. Tim Fitzgerald. Fitz will actually join me on CBS Sports Radio this weekend on his off week to talk about Big 12 football. We'll have him coast to coast. Coast to coast Fitz is always interesting. So you can join us this weekend for that. I'll be on 4 to 9 here Central, and we'll get a little Fitz action there. Take it easy, Fitz.
By the way,
we'll talk to you this weekend.
Think about the combination of if he dated Taylor Swift. I mean, it'd be Tim Swift Gerald at that point, and I'm good with that. I think that's a great name combo.
Which one is it? Sorry, my earbuds cut out there.
Swift Gerald.
Yeah, Swift Gerald. That's good. That's
I like
good.
it.
Yeah, that was just right off the top of your head. Nicely done. All right, let's get one of these giveaways here going. Dropkick Murphys coming to Wichita Wednesday, October 4th at the Wave Outdoor Stage, 650 East 2nd. Show starts at 7 o'clock. Jesse Ahern and the Interrupters will be opening up Celtic Rock with the Dropkick Murphys Wednesday night. Wave ICT Old Town, October 4th. We got a pair of tickets for you on the IHOP hotline right now. Third caller, Dropkick Murphys, kicking it old school. Jad will get us a winner. We'll come back. More Sports Daily right after this.
She had excuses and she chose to use them. She was a victim of unspeakable abuses. Her husband was violent, malicious.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Sports Daily. Glad to be here with you on a Thursday edition. Dropkick Murphys, Mark is our winner. Congratulations to Mark for getting those tickets. Rangers' magic number is 2. Tommy asked that for the West. There are a lot of magic numbers in play over the next few days in baseball. So you've got the Orioles, who now to win the East, their number is at 1. The Rangers to make the playoffs is 1, to win the division is 2. The Diamondbacks just to get in is 2. The Blue Jays is 3. That's what the Mariners are paying attention to. I don't know what the Astros and the Mariners are each specifically at, because they're playing each other right now. So it has been this wild card has been wildly entertaining. It keeps teams in the mix. I think we've been supportive of it pretty publicly for that reason, Tommy, here. But baseball, well, they've hit a lot of home runs, for lack of a better term, with these rule changes. The extra wild card, I think, is added to the game. Baseball's in a really good spot. It's I think as universally enjoyed right now as it has been in quite a while.
I've heard people call the new expanded playoffs diluted or watered down, and I don't buy that at all. I really don't. I mean, I know that you're putting more teams into the playoffs, but man, I don't call it diluted or watered down whatsoever. I mean, I think that it is extremely valuable because you're allowing more fan bases to feel like they're in it. You're allowing more fan bases, to think that they are at a place to where they're able to be potentially playoff bound. And so you've got like the Cubs organization, for example, and they're battling for a wild card spot where probably otherwise they wouldn't have been. And so you've got the fan base following them. Now, of course, the Cubs have collapsed the last couple of nights, but I don't call it diluted. I don't call it watered down. I think that you're allowing more fan bases to feel like they're in the hunt and being able to cheer on their teams a little bit further on.
Yeah, there's no question. We'll keep an eye on it. And of course, the Bobby Witt Jr. watch is on still, as we're trying to get Bobby Witt Jr. to some milestone type numbers. He's 1 home run shy still of 30. He's 7 RBIs still shy of 100, and he's 2 stolen bases shy of 50. All attainable as they have 5 games to play for Kansas City here. Let's see if he can get to those numbers. That would just make the season a little bit better for the Royals. All right, Tommy, let's go back now to some of the stuff we talked about a little bit earlier. A little more time on this Lillard situation and, Griffin and just the NBA in general. I mean, I get it. If you're the Bucks, there's a lot of people mad. They think that it was like a spite trade to send Lillard to Milwaukee instead of Miami. But I'm like, I don't buy that. And I think that's just like Miami people mad. Lillard pairing up with Antetokounmpo. I mean, come on now. Like, why would he be mad about that? They're in a position to win it. He finally gets that chance to win it. I think that he's got a better chance to win a title in Milwaukee than he would have in Miami. Don't you?
Well, I mean, Miami has been, at a place where they're kind of just been lacking a guy like Lillard to, I think, go all the way. But
True.
That being said, I think that clearly the talent level altogether is better in Milwaukee. And when you can join, I mean, I guess the question comes down to, if you're Damian Lillard, would you rather play alongside Giannis or would you rather play alongside Jimmy Butler? That really comes down to the question. And I think it's probably Giannis. I mean, I think that gives you a better opportunity to win a championship. Not that you couldn't with Jimmy Butler and the way that Miami Heat organization is built, but no, I think that pairing up Giannis and Damian Lillard, that gives you a pretty solid chance to win a championship. And let's face it, like, it wasn't going to happen for Damian Lillard in Portland. Like, we know that, right? So I know that the speculation had been that he wanted to go to Miami and that it looked like Miami was going to be the team that he was going to land with. But man, I think this is a pretty good landing spot for him.
It does. And look, Lillard's put in his time either. Like, I don't have any issue with him finally being like, I need to go try to win a title. I mean, he has carried that franchise and that city for a long, long time. So, good for him. I'm happy for Lillard. I'm the most happy for Adrian Griffin, and I'm neutral on Grady Dick because I think it would have been a good fit for him too in Portland. But Toronto. I guess if it were me, I'd rather live in Toronto than Portland. Probably. Like, Toronto's a super cool city, and he'll be, his chances to be a megastar in a city that size and everything. I mean, just ask Fred VanVleet. That'd be a pretty cool opportunity for him. Just to get down there. Or up there, I should say, and do it. There's, I didn't see this. I guess Travis Hunter, forgives or something. Henry Blackburn, the guy that hit him. Hunter says, "I forgive him. Our team forgives him." That's what Deion Sanders had to say. He's forgiven him. That kid does not deserve that. Good for Hunter. I mean, good for Hunter. I think sometimes people miss the impact that Deion Sanders is having on these young people. I think one of the reasons that, and maybe this is why it's been, sort of appreciated pretty generally among fans, is sometimes it's just like, who would I want my kid to play for Prime? And the answer is, yeah, like, obviously, yes, like, absolutely. Like, the things that we're seeing from him, like, these are good real life lessons. Like, he doesn't sugarcoat anything. He's very honest with his guys. He's teaching them. This is a perfect situation. I don't care what you say. That was a dirty hit. And it was a really bad decision by that, player for Colorado State, Henry Blackburn. But it was a mistake. And young people make mistakes. And I'm glad to see Colorado handle this the way they could have, because they don't have to do that, right? Like, I'm surprised, quite frankly, that there was not like a benches clearing brawl after that hit. And I think everyone was so shocked by it. Maybe it was just a little bit there, but that's interesting. Prime's doing things like sitting a 5-star guy that can't get on the field because he's not happy with his work ethic. Good. Like, right. And there's not a lot of coaches that would do something like that. They think it would hurt him in recruiting. They wouldn't do it. Prime doesn't care, man. He's doing his thing.
Yeah, I think that really, like, going back to the question about, like, if you're a parent, would you want your kid to play for Prime? And I think that initially there was probably a thought, or there could be a thought, that Prime talks the talk, right? Like, we know how, boisterous he is and flamboyant and all of that. And he's always going to say something, and there's always a camera in front of him and all of that. And you're like, all right, I get that. I get the media circus that is Deion Sanders. But is it legit? Is he walking the walk? And I think the answer is yes. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the locker room. I'm not around there every day. But from what we've been able to tell so far, like, I think that he genuinely and legitimately is pouring into these players, right? And it's not just a media stunt. It's not just him talking the talk. He's walking the walk too a little bit. And so I think that is important. Like, if you're a parent and you're looking at, okay, do I want my kid to go to Colorado and play for Coach Prime? Is it just, for the attention? Is it just for the cameras, or is it legitimate? And I think from what we've been able to tell through the first 4 weeks of the season, it's probably pretty legitimate.
I absolutely think it is. I mean, if he stays there, they're going to be successful. More play. You got to just, like, the recruiting impact and he knows exactly what he's doing. Like, all these players seeing it right now, they want to go be part of that. So good for Colorado. They probably will get the butt kicked a little bit here in the Pac-12 sometimes, and maybe they Maybe they can get there. All right, let's take care of some paperwork here. So you've got a lot of different ways to listen to Thursday Night Football. You can do it right here on KFH, 7 o'clock. It'll follow the Chris Kleiman show. But Detroit, Green Bay, you can hear these primetime games on KFH. You can hear all the NFL games, Tommy. Can't get enough of your team? Check it out. Westwood One is on the Odyssey app. So primetime games available for free live on the app this week. Again, Thursday Night Football. You'll have Lions, Packers right here on KFH, but you can always have it. Odyssey app. Search for KFH at kickoff. You can get that. So it's a really cool opportunity to do that. Listen, if you're driving around, make sure you tune in. We've got some giveaways to get through, Tommy. Let's do some hockey and some tea here. We like packaging these together, sort of a little prize pack from our other lives, right? Tommy, what's the info here on the Wichita Thunder and the home opener and the giveaway there?
Yeah, so we're less than a month away from the home opener for the Wichita Thunder, October 20th, Intrust Bank Arena. The Thunder will take on the Kansas City Mavericks. Going to be a great time to kick off the season at Intrust Bank Arena. We'll give you a pair of tickets to that game.
All right, so a pair of tickets to that Wichita Thunder game and a pair of free iced tea cards to HTO. 25 flavors, including the new fall flavor, Peach Cobbler, which comes sweet or unsweet. Those will be available for you at either Wichita location, East or West, or now in Derby. Caller number, let's do the first caller, Chad, during the break here. Can get some hockey tickets and tea on us here at Sports Daily. We'll come back, give you predictions for Thursday Night Football next. All right, welcome back, everybody. Steve winning hockey and iced tea on us. Congratulations, Steve. Tommy, let's dig into Thursday Night Football. We just talked about, it being a fun game, an exciting game, but the game itself, matchup to matchup here. Jared Goff has silenced his critics by this point, don't you think? Goff has been good now for 2 years. I think Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love has a chance to be really good. Tommy, what do you see his ceiling as? Because I could definitely see him as like a top 7-8 quarterback down the road here.
Yeah, I mean, the sample size is small, right? I mean, it's still pretty early to be able to give a great idea on where he's going to end up long term. But I do think the ceiling is there. Like you watch him play through the first couple of games, and I'm with you. I'm like, I can see it. I can see the success there for a guy like Jordan Love. Now, in what conceivably is probably the most important matchup so far in his starting quarterback career tonight, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the experience of Jared Goff and that Lions offense will win out. But I do think that this is a really good step potentially for Jordan Love to face a divisional opponent at home on Thursday Night Football in primetime to really get a good gauge of where he's at right now in his development.
Yeah, so it's not just him either. Like Christian Watson may return for this game. I told you I like Musgrove. Like Romeo Doubs is good. Like it seems like they're hitting on everything that they're doing. Aaron Jones, I don't know what his status for the night is. They certainly need Aaron Jones, right? Like he's a big part of their offense and makes it even better if he's there. But I don't know if he'll be there or not. On the Lions, you kind of like all their young players too. Look, if David Montgomery, I don't think is going to go. That looked like that was the news this morning. But he looks like he's the right kind of addition. Gibbs, you're seeing little bits and pieces from them. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown's good. Sam Laporta, it might be the best we've ever seen a rookie. Like the translation from college to the pros always seems to be the hardest for tight ends. Laporta's having as good a rookie season as we've seen. And then at some point they get Jameson Williams back. Like I don't think either of these two teams are going away anytime soon. They both look like they're pointed on the arrow up. And if Goff can play like this, it seems like a pretty perfect fit for them.
Yeah, I'm not convinced yet on the Packers. I said that before. I want to see more from Jordan Love. I want to see more from this offense because they do have the weapons. They haven't been healthy up to this point in the season. I think they can get there, but I'm not ready yet to say I think that they are potential division winners. That being said, the Lions, it is an open division just simply because of the Vikings underperforming. I don't think the Lions are a great team. I think they're a good team, but I do think they're fully capable of winning the division as it stands right now, because like you mentioned before, somebody's got to win it, right? And so I think it, obviously could be the Lions. They do have a significant amount of weapons. I just don't think that they are quite as good as everybody else has hyped them up to be. But that being said, I like the Lions in this matchup. I think that just because of the experience that Jared Goff has over a young quarterback like Jordan Love, I'll give it to the Lions tonight.
Yeah, right now that line is Green Bay +2. Man, I made some money with Green Bay on their money line. Gosh, I don't know what to do with this game specifically. And I said it to Chelsea, and she warned me off for all the right reasons, right? Primetime overs are just not. But the thing for me is, like, I just see this game staying close, right?
Yeah.
And so if the game stays close and that number is 45, are we going to see 6 touchdowns, though, is really what you got to look for in a Thursday night football game. I don't know what I'll do with that. I like Musgrave tonight. I'll probably be on him in some way, form, or fashion. And I like Jared Goff to throw it around a little bit. And again, Jair Alexander, as Chelsea pointed out, is a name to watch there as far as the injury report. These Thursday night, that's the one thing about Thursday night football is the injury reports suck, right? Like you just don't have a good grasp of who's going to play until what, 5:30, 6 o'clock, I guess. And then it's kind of hard to get out ahead of anything on these games because we don't know if Christian Watson's going to play. We don't know if Aaron Jones is going to play. We don't know technically if David Montgomery's going to play. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a question mark. Jair Alexander is a question mark. Like these are key players. It's tough. It's hard.
Yeah, it is. And you really don't know. You really don't have that good idea. And it's been, difficult, especially for the Packers, to know like Christian Watson has been questionable and has been banged up throughout the course of the season early on. Romeo Dobbs has been that way. What's the status of Aaron Jones? I mean, and that's really my hesitation with the Packers, right? Is just they've been hobbled offensively. And when you're not at full strength and you've got Jordan Love, who's, figuring out his way in the NFL, I think he'll be a good quarterback, but you just don't have all your weapons at 100%. That does make it more difficult.
It does. We'll see. We'll see. How big do you think, because this is the game, at Lambeau, how big do you think this game is for deciding the division? I would say not as much as it typically could be. It'll obviously have an impact and be important, and it is important in all those things. But I do feel like these are two teams that are going to be in different, they're going to look different that probably, later in the year, regardless of what happens here. And I think the same thing about the Vikings. Like, to me, it's just these games are kind of like they're there, but I think the Lions are going to be better by the end of the year. I think the Packers are going to be better by the end of the year. I think both of them will look a little different, and I think the Vikings will. So, it's one of these, let me give you an example of what I'm trying to say. Buffalo, Miami feels like a really big game right now, right? Because we're talking about two of the teams that are probably going to be in the mix at the end of the year for that top overall seed, all that stuff. Even though tonight's a divisional game, I'm not sure, whatever happens tonight carries through the rest of the year. Buffalo and Miami probably are carrying through the rest of the year.
I think it does for Green Bay. If Green Bay wins the division, they win this game tonight. If Detroit wins the division, I'm not sure they have to win this game on the road at Green Bay. So I think it's a bigger matchup for Green Bay. If they want to take that step to potentially win the NFC North, they've got to win at home against the Lions. So I would say I agree with you. It's not as monumental as Buffalo, Miami, but I think that for the Packers, it is. I think that they've got to win this game if they want to win the division.
Yeah. No, I'm not ready to say that.
It's a divisional home game. Like you've
no.
I
don't think they have to win. Okay, here's another good example. I don't think they have to win this one. Like early in the year when we were talking about the Jets, it felt like they had to win the game against Buffalo there if they wanted a chance. Well, I guess what I'm saying is I think these teams are both ascending, but I don't think either of these teams are like the winner of this division probably has 6 losses, right? So there's still so much room to get to that point for these teams that I think, yeah, this game is important, but not as like Bills, Dolphins, both of those teams. What do you think the winner, how many losses do you think the winner of the AFC East has realistically?
4 maybe,
right? 3, 4. I don't think that's going to happen in the NFC North. I think it's more like 6, maybe even 7 by the end of it. So I think that part of it just lifts some of that, but the importance comes emotionally, like you're talking about, like, that you want to talk about statements, man. Both of these teams are looking to do that. Detroit made its statement. It beat Kansas. They beat Kansas City. Like their statement's been made. Green Bay had a nice comeback win. Boy, they can make a statement tonight. And
here's the other thing, though. The other thing to keep in mind is that Green Bay has already played one divisional game. They beat the Bears. So Green Bay's 1-0 in that division. If they beat the Lions tonight, then Green Bay moves to 2-0 in the division, and they've got a 1.5 game lead over the Lions. So I mean, that, and I know it's extremely early, but I do think that there are divisional ramifications when you're trying to sort out who's going to potentially win the NFC North based on a game like this tonight. And I would imagine that once we get into December, there could very easily be a storyline where we look back on this game tonight as potentially, helping decide who wins the NFC North.
Tiebreakers are in play. Yeah. Like if they're both 10-6, it's going to matter, right? Like that, I get that part of it. And I would agree with that. But I'm just looking forward to it. A lot of these Thursday night games, not so much. This one, very much so. All right. Let's say thanks to Steve. Let's say thanks to Mark and to Jeremy for winning our contest. We thank all of you, of course, for listening to us on KFH, joining in on that IHOP hotline, whether it's to give us your comments, whether it's to win those prizes. That hotline is brought to you by IHOP, where guests can enjoy the new strawberry cheesecake waffle, a golden brown Belgian waffle topped with creamy cheesecake mousse and fresh strawberries. Thanks to our friends at IHOP for being a part of the program here. We've got some housekeeping to let you know about on the other side, what's coming up. It's a great night here on KFH for you. A lot of different places that will go here today. and it's, not a normal programming day. So we'll tell you about that. We'll get you ready for it. Thursday night football, a little baseball, a little college football for you here on the network today. So looking forward to all of that. Let's take a quick break here. We'll come back, wrap up Sports Daily right after this.
Ian Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. NFC North action ahead this week from Green Bay with Jordan Love and the Packers coming off a 3-score fourth-quarter comeback win. Now they host Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions, who also moved to 2-1 with a victory on Sunday. Join me and newly inducted Hall of Famer Joe Thomas on Thursday Night Football.
Get ready for the game with more details and preview at WestwoodOneSports.com.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime. Tonight, an NFC North rivalry is renewed when Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions head to Lambeau Field to take on Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Not a Prime member? Sign up for a 30-day free trial to stream the game. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. It's the Lions and the Packers tonight on Thursday Night Football, and it's on Prime.
All right, everybody. That'll do it for us. Jim Rome for just an hour after us. Then you get the Royals as Bobby Witt chases those offensive milestones. Coverage begins at 12 o'clock there. Chris Kleiman Show tonight at 6 o'clock right here on KFH. And that'll lead you up to Packers-Lions, 7 o'clock. Thursday Night Football. We're looking forward to it. We'll have picks with Paul Savage tomorrow. We will have Wyatt Thompson, the voice of the Wildcats, joining us tomorrow. All kinds of good stuff. Congratulations to all our winners. Thanks for tuning in, watching on the video stream, and everything else. Tommy, enjoy the Thursday.
That sounds good. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
For Tommy, Jad, I'm Jacob. See you then.